The year is 2025, and a chilling silence hangs heavy over Belgar, Russia. It's 4:30 a.m., September 28th, but the pre-dawn gloom offers no comfort. 4 American-made HIMARS missiles, each a whisper of destruction, are already tearing through the fog at an astounding Mach 25. Launched from deep within Ukrainian territory, they are a mere 43 miles from their target. Yet, in the Russian command bunkers, the elite operators of the S-400 Triumph air defense system see nothing. Their screens are blank, their world utterly dark, and in just 90 heart-pounding seconds, that darkness is about to become terrifyingly real. How could such advanced defenses be rendered so completely blind? The answer lies in the clandestine target of these silent projectiles, the Novyi Oskol substation. This isn't just another power facility. It's the nerve center, the very light switch for Russia's formidable war machine in the region. It's the arterial flow that energizes the S-400's powerful radars, fuels the massive tank divisions, and keeps their critical military communications grid pulsating with life. To sever this vital artery would be nothing short of a strategic decapitation. But the story of how Ukraine achieves this impossible feat is even more astonishing than the impending impact. At the precise moment the American missiles streak through the upper atmosphere, another, more subtle operation is unfolding just 50 feet below the radar horizon. A spectral swarm of 6 Ukrainian Shark and FPV drones, dubbed the Fog Phantom Swarm, schemes the very tops of the trees. At its vanguard, a high-tech Shark drone, equipped with an astonishing 30x thermal camera, slices through the impenetrable fog, serving as the infallible eyes for the entire clandestine dance. It meticulously guides a retinue of inexpensive kamikaze drones, each spitting out carefully calibrated clouds of chaff, ingeniously programmed to mimic nothing more threatening than a common flock of birds on Russian radar. This is no mere distraction. It's a ghost in the machine, a brilliant deception tricking a multi-billion-dollar Russian supercomputer. And what of the multi-million-dollar HIMARS launcher that unleashed these harbingers of doom? It has already vanished, a phantom itself. After enduring a brutal, unforgettable lesson at Prosovk, the launch crews now operate with a razor-thin 5-minute window to pack their equipment and disappear into the landscape, before Russian counter-battery fire can transform their former position into a smoking crater. They are long gone, leaving only the echoes of their devastating payload. Then, at 4:31 a.m., just as the first American HIMARS missile and the Ukrainian drone swarm close to within 10 miles of their target, they collide with an invisible wall. The Ukrainian bunker screens, moments before alive with crucial data, dissolve into a furious blizzard of static and white noise. The formidable Krasukha-4, a $50 million titan of electronic warfare, has awakened. Its singular, relentless purpose is to transmute the very air into a living nightmare of electromagnetic interference, twisting GPS signals into meaningless noise and utterly scrambling all communications. One of the FPV drones, suddenly bereft of its eyes and guidance, lurches violently, smashing headlong into the dense tree line. Yet, even this technological leviathan harbors a critical vulnerability, a secret the Russians prefer not to acknowledge. The Krasukha, for all its power, devours electricity with an insatiable thirst. Push it to its maximum operational limits for more than a mere 15 minutes, and it is forced to cycle down a necessary pause to prevent catastrophic overheating. This fleeting window of opportunity, tiny as it may seem, is one the Ukrainians have meticulously planned for. Furthermore, its sophisticated filtering system, designed to eliminate clutter, possesses a crucial blind spot. It struggles to differentiate between a state-of-the-art drone and the shimmering radar signature of a flock of birds. The Ukrainian operator, seizing the moment, issues the decisive command. The Fog Phantom Swarm, already in position, goes live once more. The FPV drones, now flying even lower, begin their programmed release of chaff clouds. On the Russian radar screens, the attack is no longer discernible as a threat, but rather appears as an impossibly massive, bewildering flock of birds. The Kalman filter within the Russian computer begins to choke, overwhelmed by the impossible task of processing hundreds of seemingly low-priority, yet utterly fake, targets. Simultaneously, the first HIMARS missile, now expertly denied its GPS signal, performs an extraordinary act of self-preservation. It seamlessly transitions to its internal inertial navigation system, effectively flying on pure memory, guided by a hyper-accurate internal compass. And far below, hugging the terrain beneath the main jamming field, the Shark drone finally acquires a definitive visual on the substation through the dense fog. With surgical precision, it illuminates the main transformer with an invisible laser beam, a beacon that cannot be jammed. The HIMARS missile, though blind to the world around it, now has one singular, unwavering purpose: to fly to that illuminated dot. As the bewildered Russian EW officer struggles to comprehend why his elite forces are seemingly under attack by a phantom air force of pigeons, the Ukrainian HIMARS crew, already miles away at their new, concealed position, unleashes their second missile. The Krasukha operator, completely inundated by the sheer volume of false targets, is left with no choice but to initiate a system reboot, desperately trying to clear the digital clutter. The jamming field, a moment ago an impenetrable barrier, flickers and dies. The signal is momentarily restored, but that first missile launch, though silent on the ground, had screamed through the electromagnetic spectrum, stirring a hornet's nest. The Panzer S-1, a beast of kinetic defense, is now fully awake, its formidable guns ominously turning. At 4:32 a.m., the Panzer S-1 roars into action. This is no longer the subtle electronic hum of the Krasukha, but the raw, guttural sound of kinetic fury unleashed. A 57 times 10 to the power of 6 missile tears through the pre-dawn air at an astounding 2,300 feet per second, a streak of white-hot fire against the deepening gray of the dawn. The first American-made HIMARS missile, the one flying on pure instinct and laser guidance, is instantly vaporized in a brilliant, searing white fireball. It never registered what annihilated it. A stray FPV drone, too slow and unfortunate to evade the blast, is shredded by the deadly shrapnel. In the Ukrainian bunker, the operator nervously wipes a bead of sweat from his brow. 3 missiles remain. Is that truly enough to accomplish the mission? The Panzer is an undeniably fearsome system, particularly against high-flying fighter jets. However, for this cunning swarm, it harbors 2 critical, fatal flaws. Firstly, the thick, pervasive fog acts as an impenetrable veil, effectively blinding its thermal sensors. It's akin to trying to locate a black cat in the darkest of storms. Secondly, it suffers from a 2-second targeting lag, an eternity when attempting to track and engage a drone zipping through a forest at 60 miles per hour, constantly jinking and weaving. But perhaps its most significant Achilles heel is a simple matter of physics. Those seemingly gentle, undulating hills nestled between the Panzer and the approaching swarm are not merely scenic elements. They are impenetrable, radar-proof walls. The Ukrainian operator, with ruthless efficiency, gives the command to exploit every single one of these weaknesses. The swarm, in a choreographed dance of deception, splits. 4 FPV drones plummet towards the deck, weaving through the dense birch forest like enraged hornets, their movements a blur. Then, with deliberate precision, they begin to jettison flares, each one burning with an intensity hotter than a bonfire, drawing the Panzer's precious fire away from the primary target. The Shark drone, meanwhile, performs the opposite maneuver. It hugs the contours of the terrain, using a small, unassuming hill as perfect cover, rendering it invisible to the Panzer's radar while maintaining its unwavering laser painter locked onto the substation. The second HIMARS missile, now launched from the safety of its new position, instantly receives the updated laser coordinates, adjusting its trajectory by a mere half-degree. A 200 pounds GPS-denied love letter, hurtling towards its destination with pinpoint accuracy. The Panzer battery, its ready-to-fire missile reserves rapidly dwindling, fruitlessly expends its remaining shots on the decoy flares. But every missile launch, every earth-shattering explosion, has been nothing less than a dinner bell for the real monster of the battlefield. The S-400 Triumph is now fully, undeniably awake. Its massive, sweeping radar dish relentlessly scours the sky. Its supercomputer brain, a titan capable of simultaneously processing 300 individual targets, is roaring online, its calculating power unleashed. And the HIMARS crew? They're already gone. The launcher is packed, its engine roaring, as it hurtles down a dirt road because the Russians have, with painful slowness, finally pinpointed where they used to be. At 4:33 a.m., The S-400's true nature is revealed. It is not merely a local defense system. It is a strategic monster, and its colossal radar sweep is nothing less than a death sentence. With contemptuous ease, it locks onto the remaining drone swarm and the inbound American missile. A hypersonic 48N6 missile erupts from its silo, screaming through the sky at Mach 14. A brutal, unstoppable hammer aimed directly at the heavens. The second HIMARS missile, the one that had flawlessly navigated the radar shadow and the electromagnetic chaos, is instantly vaporized mid-flight. There is no thunderous explosion, only a brief, silent flash of light, and then nothing. It is simply gone. 2 missiles down, 2 to go. The entire mission now hangs by the thinnest of threads. In the Russian command center, a premature celebration erupts. They believe, in their hubris, that they have decisively won. But the S-400, for all its formidable power, conceals a deeply buried, fatal flaw. Its powerful supercomputer, meticulously engineered to track multi-billion-dollar fighter jets and intercontinental ballistic missiles, begins to choke, drowning in the deluge of data from 100 fake birds. Its sophisticated algorithm suffers a critical 3-second lag as it desperately attempts to solve an impossible equation. It's an agonizing digital meltdown, akin to a phone's autocorrect savagely mangling a complex sentence into utter gibberish. Technically, it's still operating, but the outcome is a catastrophic, humiliating failure. While the Russian computer grapples with its digital meltdown, the Ukrainian Shark drone assumes a new role, that of a cunning shepherd. It meticulously herds the last few FPV drones into a tight, deceptive cluster, then precisely guides the third incoming HIMARS missile onto a completely new path, a path that cleverly utilizes a low hill to create a perfect, impenetrable radar shadow. The S-400, for all its reputation as the most powerful air defense system on Earth, remains utterly blind to what lies behind a simple, goddamn hill. The Shark drone then executes an insane, audacious maneuver. It briefly pops up just long enough to acquire a laser fix on the substation, allowing its beam to reflect off the dense, obscuring fog. The third HIMARS missile, oblivious to everything else in the chaotic sky, sees only that shimmering, beautiful with impossible precision, it threads the needle, slipping through the S-400's supposedly impenetrable net like a ghost. And the HIMARS crew? They have done it again. As the Russian computer finally, agonizingly pinpoints their second firing position, a furious volley of Russian artillery unleashes hell upon an empty patch of mud. The Ukrainians are already packed up and launching their fourth and final missile from a third, completely different location. The S-400, now thoroughly confused by a sky teeming with phantom birds and real missiles that seemingly appear and disappear at will, fires 2 more multi-million-dollar missiles into the empty void, chasing after ghosts. At 4:34 a.m., the age of hypersonic missiles and billion-dollar radar systems suddenly seems over. The battle for the Novyi Oskol substation now boils down to its most raw, visceral elements. A handful of desperate guards on a frozen rooftop, and a sound. A low, terrifying whistle, slicing through the dense fog, growing louder with every passing millisecond. They cannot see what produces it, but they know, with chilling certainty, that it is coming for them. They instinctively resort to their only possible action. They open fire. The night air erupts in a desperate, chaotic hail of AK-74 tracers, spraying wildly into the gray nothingness. It is the textbook definition of futility. Attempting to shoot down a 200-pound Mach 2.5 missile with a rifle is a hopeless endeavor, akin to swatting a bullet with a slingshot. This is not a fight. It is a desperate silent prayer. Miles away, another prayer goes tragically unanswered. Russian artillery continues its relentless, thunderous bombardment of the empty patch of mud where the HIMARS launcher used to be, a multi-million-dollar temper tantrum hurled against an enemy that is long gone. Each fresh crater, a raw scar on the earth, serves as a poignant monument to how utterly and thoroughly they have been outplayed, a perfect, brutal illustration of the devastating effectiveness of the shoot-and-scoot doctrine. In the Ukrainian bunker, the operator watches detached as the guard's muzzle flashes bloom through the Shark drone's thermal camera. They are a mere nuisance, a variable that demands elimination. He makes a final, ruthless calculation. The Fog Phantom Swarm, his exquisite tool of electronic deception, is about to receive an entirely new, chilling job description. He peels one of the last FPV drones from its patient holding pattern. This isn't a $150,000 missile. This is a $400 3D printed kamikaze drone with a small anti-personnel charge crudely zip-tied to its back. Herein lies the tactical genius. He is deploying a disposable asset to meticulously clear the path for an irreplaceable one. He will not risk his last two precious HIMARS missiles being knocked off course by a lucky, desperate rifle round. The FPV drone dives. The guards on the rooftop, sensing their doom, see it at the very last second, a dark, hornet-like shape emerging menacingly from the fog. It approaches not with a whistle, but with an angry, rising buzz. It is the last image they will ever register. The drone detonates with a sharp, concussive crack, and the rooftop instantly falls silent. The last desperate line of defense has been violently erased by the cheapest weapon on the battlefield. Now, absolutely nothing stands in the way. The last two American-made HIMARS missiles, numbers 3 and 4, are completely, utterly unopposed. Below them, the Shark drone holds its laser painter steady, a perfect, unwavering dot precisely on the heart of the main transformer. At 4:35 a.m., the Shark drone's camera meticulously zooms in, its laser painter maintaining that steady, perfect. The target, the Novyi Oskol substation, comes in a full, stark view, its massive transformers humming faintly like colossal, slumbering bears. On a nearby rooftop, desperate Russian guards continue to fire flares wildly into the sky, each one missing its non-existent target by a country mile. The Russians know, with cold dread, that the missiles are inbound. They simply possess no idea how to halt their inexorable approach. That 500-ton station would require a minimum of 20 seconds to initiate an emergency shutdown. The two remaining HIMARS missiles will arrive in a mere 50 milliseconds. Boom. Then almost immediately boom again. The impacts are less than a second apart. Two absolutely perfectly placed strikes. But this is far more than just a pair of explosions. This is a high-speed physics class in action. That 200-pound American warhead doesn't simply go bang. It is meticulously designed to penetrate a full 12 inches of reinforced concrete before its primary detonation. The first missile, with terrifying force, punches clean through the main transformer's protective shell. The second vaporizes the central switching hub. The shaped charges contained within create a devastating Monroe effect, focusing the entire blast into a scorching jet of molten plasma, moving at an incredible 7,000 feet per second. It tears through the station's hardened electrical wiring like a needle through tissue paper. A catastrophic chain reaction begins its inexorable march. Transformers explode in a symphony of destruction. Circuit breakers instantly vaporize. A cascade of failures ripples violently through the entire system, sending sparks the size of cars arcing a terrifying 100 feet into the pre-dawn sky. Russia's military grid has just suffered a multi-billion-dollar blow. Ukraine's payback? Utterly priceless. Now, zoom out beyond the immediate devastation. The tactical victory, in its precision and daring, is undeniably stunning. But the strategic impact is a checkmate of staggering proportions. That single, perfectly executed strike has just annihilated 20% of the Belgar military electrical grid. The S-400 Triumph, once revered as the billion-dollar god of the skies, is now nothing more than a blind, useless scarecrow. The vital fuel depots that nourish the Russian tank divisions in the Donbass, their pumps are utterly dead. The entire Russian war machine in this critical sector hasn't just suffered a bloody nose. It has had its very spinal cord brutally severed. This forces Russia into a dire situation, compelling them to pull critical air defense systems away from the already strained front lines, thereby irrevocably weakening their strategic hold on crucial territories like the Donbass. It is the exact same relentless economic warfare that has seen 16 of their oil refineries crippled, systematically bleeding them of over 1 million barrels of oil every single day. From a hidden bunker near Kharkov, Ukrainian operators, utilizing American-made missiles and their own ingenious homegrown drones, have just transformed a substantial piece of Russia's energy empire into a widespread blackout party. The stark lesson delivered today is unequivocal. Never provoke a bear that has not only mastered the art of hacking, but also wields the devastating power of HIMARS. This isn't just a battle. It's a blueprint for a new era of warfare, where ingenuity and calculated precision can humble even the most formidable of foes.